joining us. Our guest with us today is Vice Mayor Jim Shulman, talking about a very busy meeting with a lot of issues tonight with the City Council. We've got some phone calls that waited through the break. Let's take those, and then we'll get into more of the agenda and more of the key issues we can talk about happening now. And we'll go to Eric. Eric, good morning. Hi, Eric.
Good morning, Mr. Nick Beres.
How are you?
Good morning, Mr. Shulman. As always, it's a pleasure to talk to you.
Hey,
I know you're going to get in the house and probably with other people, but I had two issues concerning traffic I wanted to talk to the Vice Mayor about and get his thoughts about that. The first one was there was a wreck that happened back during the summer that happened on Gallatin Road with a woman and her children, as everyone was fondly. Can you, of course, remember that made the news? Well, the woman that was involved actually is a friend of mine. I know both her and her husband, and I go to church with them. It was Brian and Abby Daly. Thank goodness she's okay. In fact, she's pregnant, and the good thing is that nothing happened to her baby. But I remember some of the specifics of the story. She had to have part of her her skull removed. I think she's going to be okay. I don't want to say the specifics or anything like that because I don't know the details and stuff like that. And she's still, doing okay. She's back at church. Everything is doing about as well as could be expected under the circumstances. One of the things they talked to them about, the council people about, and of course I know you have the plan with the traffic where you want to try and eliminate pedestrian deaths and wrecks and all that stuff, make it safer for walk, bike, and sidewalks and all that stuff. But one of the things that they brought up, and I kind of agree with them, I don't know if it's going to be feasible, is I think one of the things we do need is more police officers or officers directing traffic. I don't know how feasible that's going to be, whether that's in the budget or anything. Just want to get your thoughts on that. The other traffic issue that I just want to talk to you about, and this is the thing driving us, of course, you've seen the stories, the last one, was these people, they just get out to stop traffic, to have these, do donuts or have these drag races or whatever it is out in the middle of the street. The last one I heard happened on a Friday night, about 10:30 at night on Old Hooker Boulevard, Everson Pike, and by the time, of course, police get there, they're gone. Of course, I heard the stories where a business owner said that he's had problems with people, doing donuts or doing drag races or whatever in park lots of his business. I saw the story a couple years ago where there was an incident, I guess it was Interstate 24 past Bell Road and Old Hooker Boulevard where that was going on.
Shut it down.
And I've seen stuff like where even walking downtown one time for the Titans game, this was before the pandemic, where there were people on motorcycles, about 50 to 200 motorcycles that was doing crazy stunts and stuff downtown after the Titans game. It's like, and I know I've heard stories where you've caught a couple of people doing that stuff. It's just like, what is going on where trying to get done where you can, I don't know if necessarily be on the scene where you can try and curb that, but do something to stop that kind of just idiotic craziness going on where people are doing that. And I'll get off and let you get some other callers. Y'all have a great day, and we'll talk again soon.
Thank you, Eric. Appreciate it. Thank you. Good. Two good questions.
Yeah, thanks, Eric. And I hope the family is going to be okay. In terms of, we'll reverse the questions. In terms of the donuts and all the other things, that hit. We knew it was coming because other cities were doing it, and obviously word just passed along, and then we started having it. A number of council members got heavily engaged in it. We're trying to figure out how to stop it. I think one of the problems with that was that what I heard was that people would do it, and then because of cell phone and social media, if they heard the police were on their way, the word would get out and they would take off. So they were hard to track. Obviously, you can't do what they're doing. You can't stop in the middle of the street and start doing donuts.
Yeah, they're doing it on the interstates too.
Yeah, and then they're doing it on the interstates.
Slow it down and just start.
Yeah, you can't do that. The hard part is trying to catch people, and but which leads to the first point that Eric was making, and that is more police officers. I started hearing yesterday about all this traffic concerns about after the Elton John concert the other night.
What did they say?
People couldn't move. They got stuck. And so people were going like, where was traffic control? Look, I know we've had for a while a shortage of police officers. Yep. And I understand why. I mean, there was a period of time where people didn't necessarily want to be a police officer. Hopefully with salary increases and more training and things like that, we're going to get more people in. So we're kind of in that situation where people want less police, and then other people want more police.
Sure.
We don't have enough people who are wanting to be police officers to step into those roles. More police officers probably means a quicker response time to people doing donuts on the street or on the interstate, and also traffic control, having more police officers doing that.
I don't know. What do you think about traffic control? Because you're absolutely right. It comes down to the staffing, and right now it seems like police, Metro, not just here but anywhere, the focus for the available officers is on the serious crimes, the carjackings, the really bad stuff, okay? And you know as well as I do, if you leave here today and you're driving back to your office and you get an offender bender, okay? Hopefully, and if no one's hurt, if there's a serious injury, it's different. But if you get an offender bender and there's damage to your vehicle and you can't drive it and the other car is damaged and you call the police, they're not coming, okay? They're going to take that. They're going to say, listen, you need to call this, deal with it, get your insurance. You can file the report online. And when I say they're not coming, they'll say, if you insist, you want to stay there and wait. It may be several hours, okay? So the bottom line is, in general, my understanding we've done stories on is Metro does not respond now to fender benders. And you know what? I'm fine with that. Yeah. A lot of people are like, well, you know, what are they paid for? I need someone to do this or I'm not going to get my insurance claim. They've set it up where you can file the claim, you can file the report over the phone, and then it gets in there. And again, it's different if there's an injury or some kind of crime involved. But if it's just an honest fender bender, they ain't coming anymore. And I'm fine with that. A lot of people on my Facebook page are like, well, I don't understand. And I'm like, well, get a clue, man. Would you rather have them responding to fender benders or going after violent carjackers? They don't have the staff, and I don't think they have the staff for traffic.
Well, I will give them a shout out. So my wife was in an accident last night.
I'm sorry.
She's okay, and everybody else involved is okay, but it was on the interstate. Just headed out to, she was dropping somebody off at the airport. Car is totaled, everything. By the time I got the call, the police were already there. Obviously, an incident on the interstate, they had to get everybody off.
Maybe different traffic. Again, there are exceptions.
Yeah.
Injuries, a big incident on the interstate, blocking traffic, that's different. They're going to respond. But I'm talking about fender benders. You make it to the shoulder,
right.
You're calling for insurance. They ain't coming, and you know what? They shouldn't.
Well, I will say this. Yeah, so, I mean, I know people are complaining about the length of time in response, but I agree with you. I think, you know, if we're short-staffed, you want our police department focusing on the things that are much more serious. And, you know, somebody says, well, wait a minute, I had a car accident, that's serious. Yeah, it is to them. As long as nobody's hurt, that's okay. You know, that's what you hope. But in terms of trying to set priorities for the police, you want them dealing with the more serious stuff. Yep. And until we get fully staffed again, you're going to see some response times that take a little while.
You're absolutely right. Your wife's okay, though.
Yeah,
wow,
she's
that's
fine.
Scary stuff. And two other points just hit on that. I do know that the police, you're right, the council was on it, and Metro has tried to respond to these drag racers or the folks. And I'll tell you this, if you go to the impound lot, you're going to find some hot-looking cars. I mean, they've got some Dodge Chargers, they've got some Mustangs. How you get them? You pull these kids over, okay? You impound their cars, and the bill to get it back is going to be a chunk of change. They've impounded a lot of these vehicles. That's one way to stop it. It gets their attention. Let them walk places where they need to go. But I mean,
they got to pay the towing fee, and then every day that thing is in there, there's a storage fee, and by the time you turn around, it's very, very expensive. It adds up. So that's one way they're kind of, I think, trying to crack down on it. But it's tough. I've been caught in some of that sometimes where they just go shooting right past you. It's dangerous stuff. Let's go to Ann next. Ann, good morning. Hi, Ann. Hey, Ann.
Good morning. I've been relatively involved in the river chase for the last 2 years, and I've tried to learn along the way. But last night there was a zoning hearing for a major developer that is moving into my neighborhood. And for some reason, although our character plan does call for affordable housing, this developer has no affordable housing in the 1,000 units that is going to be moved into my neighborhood. Since dealing with River Chase, I know that this is a major part of the character plan, something most people may not have even ever heard of. But my question is, how does a developer get around having the affordable housing when the character plan doesn't get changed but calls for it? And how do residents fight for the affordable housing when the character plan calls for it? Because this developer has no affordable housing, has had no discussion for affordable housing, and although I'm for this over other developers in my neighborhood, I still want them to adhere to the affordable housing portion of our character plan, which has yet to be changed.
So,
And I hope that makes sense.
so Ann, it does. Let me ask you a question. Are they asking for a zoning change? Is that why they're having the meetings?
Not for the character, not for this portion of the character plan.
Okay.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
I guess I was going to ask, so obviously there was a neighborhood meeting. What is, if they're asking
One neighborhood meeting.
Okay. If they're asking for some type of zoning change, then you can deal with them because they're looking for something, and the council members should be looking for community support, or, you know, where are people? That's why I asked you if it's a zoning change.
The councilman is aware because I posed the question, and I've yet to get an answer.
Okay.
And since working with River Chase, and I feel sure that my voice is going to be heard again tonight on the 5th reading,
Okay.
I know the character plan is pretty important, and I know that it is in our character plan, and according to what I've been able to find out, every neighborhood has one, and this is not something that is being changed in this development. And we need affordable housing in East Nashville, and I'm willing to fight for the affordable housing portion of this plan, especially when you're talking about building $500,000 homes and apartments that are going to rent for anywhere from $1,500 and above, and with over 700 apartment units, something should be affordable.
Okay.
I mean, she's right. I mean, I can't argue with her. I think every development is different.
Yeah.
And so the question is, in the case that Ann's talking about, if there's a zoning change that's required, then the developer wants something. They either want to build more units or whatever. That's when citizens can get in and go, you know, we're not for that unless you kind of accommodate this certain thing. Again, everybody has different formulas they use to figure out if they can do this, how much they can pay for the land, what they can build, so forth. It's when you've got a situation sort of like River Chase where people can already do something, and they don't have to. They can just say, we're not doing this.
Exactly.
So they can do what they want. So in Ann's case, everyone is different. If there's a character plan that basically says we want more affordable housing, and we do, then what you've got is, if a developer comes in and says, you know, Nick, you know, you're a neighbor over here, we want to build, you know, 800 stories high, this thing, and you're going like, first of all, no, we're not going to build that high. We want it lower. And we want affordable housing. And the developer says, I can make that work, blah, blah, blah. Well, you figure out if they can make it work or not. So tonight, the big issue on this one is, you've got a developer that's pushing affordable housing. Is that going to work? Because the developer in this case tonight, not Ann's situation, but tonight, is saying, we've got a proposal, we want to do affordable housing, but we don't have to. We can do something else. So that's why it's important to kind of keep an eye on it and see. Ann would have to call me and tell me specifics, but she may be there tonight.
Yeah, sounds like she will. So you will hear from her. And
sure
thank you for your call. It is a complex issue, and the only way to be involved is to be there and speak out on behalf of it.
That's what you need to do.
Yeah, and it takes time and effort, but if it's important. Let's go to Linda. Linda, good morning. Hi, Linda.
Hey,
Good
Linda.
morning. I hope I'm not going to be too long on this. I got some things. Okay, one, have you? I think it'd be great for Nick to check out the micro mini homes at the Green Street Church of Christ. They're just little cottage. I mean, very small, but for the homeless.
Okay.
Green Street Church of Christ.
Yeah.
And then if they would impound those cars for a short length of time and then auction them off, that would be good, because most of the kids or whoever has the money to go out and buy another car. So just because it's been impounded doesn't mean that they're not going to have a 4 wheels. And then the third thing, Mayor, I got a variance letter for one of the pieces of property that I own across from the zoo. Now, just because they've asked for a variance, is that just because they're just going to have noise and construction over there, and they were just letting us know that within the confines of the zoo that stuff is going to be going on? But the thing about this is I got the letter yesterday afternoon, and the hearing is Thursday morning. So that does not give you very long time to get your schedule so you can be downtown at the Sunny West building.
Yeah, that seems pretty strange, Linda, that you just got it.
What would a variance notice be for typically?
Well, it could be for all kinds of different things. That's why, Linda, there should be a phone number on that thing, on the notice, that says if you have questions, call. Does it say on the top what kind of variance it is?
I'd have to go back. My sister has the actual letter, but I'd have to go to this and find it. It just says that we're within 1,000 feet of what's going to be going on.
So sometimes it's a setback variance. Sometimes maybe it has something to do with construction going on. So, Linda, what I would tell you on that one is find that number on there. Have there should be some type of number that indicates what the property is, and then call the number and say what kind of variance is this, and then if you're concerned about it, call the council member from the district and say we just got the notice and we're concerned about what's going on.
It just says that Grassmere filed a variance for the property at the above referenced location, and they're just doing a buffer 2 or 3 places and across a Kathy Joe branch and building a bridge and building a snake exhibit and restrooms.
It sounds like a zoo. It sounds like the zoo's
something
doing
with the zoo coming.
Yeah. So just to be on the safe side, Linda, call the number and find out. But if
snake exhibit better have something to do with this.
I would certainly hope that people are not building snake exhibits around their house. But yeah, you should call the number. On the micro mini home, she's bringing up something that's coming up tonight.
Then let's talk about that when we come back. And as we do go to the break, about the idea of selling those cars that are confiscated. You can't. It's not like it's your property. They haven't, lost them. They have a right to get them back. But if they surrender them, sell them for cash.
Sure.
But if they don't, these kids have a chance to get their cars back. They just have to pay all the fees Jim was talking about. We'll take a break. When we come back, we'll answer more of Linda's question with those micro mini homes. And John and others, if you're on hold, stay where. We'll get to your phone calls right after this.